The strange and dangerous thing today is not just the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The strange thing is what happened after that. There was euphoria for Trump. There were languages of threat. Trump threatened a number of countries with repeating exactly the same scenario with them. He threatened Cuba, he threatened Mexico, he threatened Colombia, he threatened Greenland, all in one move. As if the arrest of Maduro is not the end, it is just an initial attempt for a much bigger plan. Today we are no longer talking about Venezuela or about Maduro. We are facing an American project, a huge American project, a very clear American project. The entire western half of the globe must be a backyard for America. But here, pay close attention, history has proven that opening all fronts at once always has the opposite effect, leading to fragmentation and collapse. So the question today is Trump really leading America toward collapse? Here's today's topic. Stay tuned. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings, and welcome to our renewed meeting today, God willing, in this series of episodes of Strange Opinion, dear viewers. Today, even though it has been about 2 days or more since the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. However, American President Trump is still elated by the success of this operation. He continues to praise his own abilities, the capabilities of the American army, and the strength of America. Today, there are no statements from Trump except about Venezuela, about Maduro, and about the other countries in the region. Trump now feels the euphoria of victory, but the dangerous thing is that this euphoria might have negative consequences. Why do I say this? Because now, if everyone notices, Trump has started threatening everyone. In just about 24 hours, he has threatened every country in the region. He threatened Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, Greenland. All these countries in the region. They have all become threatened by America that the same scenario could happen to them, the scenario of arresting Maduro. Of course, if they don't comply with America's demands that everyone knows, they've become public and clear to everyone. This means that this region must become America's backyard. All the oil and resources in these countries must go to America. The governments of these countries must be subordinate to America, subject to America, carrying out American agendas. In fact, more than that, these governments must be subject to Trump and to Trump's personal directions. So now every statement by Trump has become a threat to these countries. Trump even mocked Denmark in a very strange way. He ridiculed Denmark, he mocked Denmark's military capabilities because in one of his statements he spoke mockingly. He said that Denmark sent a dog sled to Greenland to reinforce its military presence there, meaning in the Arctic. Meaning that Denmark is a militarily weak country, it hasn't done anything, and it's not capable of doing anything to protect this island. If a major war starts in Europe, the first thing Russia will do, as I explained to you in a series of episodes, is invade or take control of this island. And Trump wants to avoid this scenario. So the important thing is that Trump made this clear while mocking Denmark a lot. But the thing that provoked the Danes and the people of Greenland the most was the spread of a map of Greenland in the colors of the American flag, along with comments suggesting that soon this island will become American. This comes after the arrest of Maduro. This is also a sign as well. We can't forget the previous statements that called for the annexation of Canada. As the 51st state of America, we can't forget Trump's threat to invade Panama, to prevent China from taking control of the Panama Canal. So it's very clear that Trump is opening a very big confrontation, opening up a number of fronts. The confrontation, in fact, is not limited to Venezuela, not limited to the Venezuelan regime only, but to the entire southern hemisphere. The American goal is clear and declared. It includes all the countries of the western half of the globe. We're not talking about countries like Greenland, Mexico, and Canada, but rather Colombia, Cuba, Brazil, and others. Every region must be American, and it goes even further, even internally. Today in America, just so everyone knows, not everyone in America is satisfied with what Trump did today in America. There are those who defend Venezuela, there are those who defend Maduro, there are those who defend international law, and there are also those who oppose Trump just for the sake of opposition, like the supporters of the Democratic Party. So today in America, there is strong opposition to what Trump did in Venezuela. The American magazine Foreign Policy wrote an article. What did it say? It said that Trump's move came without the approval of the American Congress and without the approval of the United Nations. This means it is a completely illegal move, violating laws and international norms, both internally within America and externally on the international level. And this magazine talked about an important point that I mentioned in the previous episode and in a number of earlier episodes, which is that Trump has now given strong pretext to China and Russia. He gives the pretext. Trump now, he has opened the way for chaos to return to the pre-World War era. All international powers today can take the same step to occupy a certain country, a certain region, or to arrest the president of that country. In reality, the matter goes beyond China and Russia. I'm not just talking about these countries. All international powers can now use force to annex a certain region. I mean, Trump has given the pretext and will continue to give more pretexts if he continues on this path. This is just the beginning. Trump has very big and clear goals. I mean, this is just the beginning. There will be annexation of Venezuela, annexation of Greenland, Canada, Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, and also Bolivia. All these countries will become states subordinate to America, a backyard for America. They will have a flag, a government, and so on, but only under American guardianship. So the world will be produced, I mean, in this framework, in this direction that Trump wants now. The world will then be divided among all the great powers. Therefore, here Russia will not only take Ukraine, but will also take all of Europe. The European countries will not be under Russian occupation, but they will become entirely a Russian sphere of influence. There will be pro-Russian governments in Europe. China will also take its share. This share will not be just the island of Taiwan, but will be in all regions of the world. They will choose, maybe in Africa, maybe in Central Asia, and so on. There will also be countries that will take their share, but on a regional level. Only in the countries surrounding them, like Saudi Arabia, like Turkey. Morocco, I mean, it's a multipolar world. Some of its features have started to emerge now, and America has chosen for this entire western half of the world to have this plan that has now begun. But pay close attention, up until this moment, there has been no success for Trump or for America. There is still a lot of work waiting for America. It's not easy at all, as some people think. We don't know, maybe China will turn the tables, maybe we'll witness an alliance of these countries like Colombia, Mexico and Cuba, a coalition to counter Trump's goals. This could happen with Chinese support, with Russian support. Today, even though these countries are different in terms of their systems and interests, there are changes happening that force them to take action now. For example, let's take Colombia. Colombia is considered a military ally of America, a traditional ally of America. But when this leftist Colombian president Gustavo came to power, everything changed. There started to be a rapprochement between Colombia and China, and also between Gustavo and the Brazilian president Lula da Silva, who always criticizes America. Add to that Gustavo's stance against the Israeli aggression on Gaza. His strong statements against Israel are all steps that made America consider Gustavo an enemy that must be overthrown. What's strange is this country. Colombia is infiltrated by America due to the intelligence and military cooperation that has lasted for many decades. Therefore, after the Venezuela incident and Trump's threats, there was a shift. Maybe not everyone noticed it, but Gustavo gave orders to expel every soldier in the Colombian army who is loyal to America and not to Colombia. Every time there is a development or escalation, we will see new shifts. These countries might even form alliances despite their different interests. And today, Pay close attention. The one who will bless any steps to counter these Trumpian objectives is America itself. Why am I saying this? Because we can't forget that there is a major power struggle in America, a big conflict over who controls the American Congress. Between the Democratic and Republican parties, the main opponent of Trump's plan to arrest Maduro is now the Democratic Party. But who exactly is the Democratic Party in America? Because this step that Trump took will definitely increase his popularity internally. And in the coming months, Trump will work on investing in this, investing in the Maduro trial case to boost his popularity. He will work to make this trial public in order to increase his popularity inside America, and as a result win the upcoming elections in November. The elections are very soon, the midterm elections for Congress. That's why the Democratic Party knows about these plans, knows these goals, and will try to thwart them by any means possible. That's why, as everyone saw, Trump conducted the Venezuela operation without telling Congress. Why? Because he knows that notifying Congress, which also includes the Democrats, they would leak this plan to Venezuela so that Trump wouldn't succeed in this plan. That's why now in America there's fierce opposition to what Trump did in Venezuela just today. And just yesterday, Kamala Harris came out and said that regime change wars or oil wars are portrayed as a power that America possesses. But in reality, they are chaos. She said that it's the American people who pay the price. They are the ones who pay the price. Kamala Harris said that the aggression against Venezuela is not for drugs and not for oil. It's a very serious statement. She said it's actually for Trump, who wants to play the role of the regional dictator. So this might mean, on the other hand, that maybe this is a reality in America now, maybe for the first time. She comes out very clearly to say that the Western Hemisphere should be American or should be a backyard. America openly says that these countries' policies should revolve around America for the first time. Maybe this has never happened before. The Democrats also say that this American strategy set by Trump is wrong. They say that Venezuela does not pose any direct threat to America. They say it's a mistake to get into a military adventure against Latin American countries. Why is that? Because they say that history has proven that peace and democracy in Latin American countries have never been achieved throughout history by using military force. They say that Trump is dragging America into an endless war. We are following him closely. He is dragging America into an endless war. This is what the Democrats in America are saying today. And they say clearly that Venezuela cannot live in peace if political and economic directions are imposed on it by America. Even if today the government in Venezuela is given to someone loyal to America, the country will not calm down. It will enter into a fierce civil war and will never be at peace. Even the American investments in this oil sector, which Trump is calling for, will find themselves facing losses of billions of dollars. The resistance will not stop targeting these investments with rockets and so on. They say it's foolish. It's foolish for Trump to come with the same goal and the same plans that failed in Iraq and Afghanistan and try to achieve them today in Venezuela or in any of the countries of America in general. There is very strong opposition from the Democrats. They will not allow Trump to gain a lot of popularity and lead in the upcoming elections and then take control of Congress. And after that, for Trump to propose amendments that would allow him to run in the next presidential elections. Therefore, in the coming period, they will try as much as possible to thwart his plans, even if it means helping these Latin American countries in one way or another. Perhaps urging these liberal European countries, which Trump of course opposes, to provide support for them. And this leads us to different scenarios. This could even be a reason for America's collapse. This might be a reason. Why do I say this? Because historically any excessive expansion leads to opposite results. There are universal laws that must be respected. History has proven that the great powers that once dominated the world at certain points in history collapsed only when they tried. That is, when they tried to handle many issues at once, or when they opened multiple battlefronts, that's when they fell into the trap of collapse. This happened with the Ottoman Empire, it happened with Hitler, and it happened with the British Empire, which controlled a quarter of the globe. But in the end, it fell apart. Today, America is opening multiple fronts at the same time. This might have negative repercussions for it, to the extent that, as I said, these fronts are even eating away at America from the inside. Honestly, the situation presents different scenarios, so many scenarios that no one can predict exactly. Anything is possible today, everything is on the table, the world is changing very quickly, there are major transformations happening. What should we do? All we can do is keep up with this news and these changes to see exactly where we're heading. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Peace be upon you and goodbye.